Hello, welcome to the session where we're going to look at how can we teach directly from the smartboard with nothing connected at all. So if you are connecting a device itself, you've got that device linked to the computer there. And that is very much focused on that front of class delivery there. So if you're running a PowerPoint or something like that, it will be at the front of the class here and you'll be presenting to your children from that device there. But actually using the smart software, it enables you to actually send it out to the learners wherever they are here, really focusing on the engagement of all your pupils, wherever they might be, the collaboration on their devices itself, coming together on whole group, individual work or whole class group there, and of course, actually the insights to their learning as well, to be able to see that work at the top, being able to take that home afterwards and actually get an insight of how they're working with that real data attached to their learning there as well. So I'm actually going to come out of this here. I'm going to press my home button. Your home button might come down here. So I'm now going into the IQ unit. This is the IQ unit on the MX board and the 6000S board as well. And then from in here, I was running that file through a whiteboard. And what I'm going to do now is to go into a browser. So within my browser here, I can now start using Lumio. I can take existing content that I've got and actually drag and drop it into Lumio and use it within Lumio. So importing your lessons into Lumio, I'm now on my computer, and on this tab I've got a web browser and I've gone to Lumio, lum.io, and signed in. And then here I've got my lessons that are actually saved in my OneDrive here. So what I can do is now I've got this PowerPoint, is just drag and drop it, and that's it. It's in Lumio. And I can do that with any other ones. It was a PowerPoint, if it was a smart notebook file, or if it was a PDF, simply by dragging and dropping it in. And then you can see here, there are different ones that are importing in straight into Lumio. So now I've got that content transferred into my Lumio lesson, I'm going to actually log into it from the web browser directly from my smartboard. So I open up a browser, just recap on there. So I'm clicking my home button, your home button's down here, my browser is here. Click on my browser, it opens my web browser. Now I'm going to go to Lumio, the website lum.io. lum.io. And it'll take me to this website here. If this is the first time you're signing into it, you're going to see this sign up page. You might want to have a quick look through the video or any other content down at the bottom here. But right at the top here, it says teacher sign in. So I'm now going to sign in. And you now just sign in with your normal teacher email address. I have already signed in before, so it remembers mine. I'm just going to go back out. So this is the page that you'll see first. Either that's Google or Microsoft. I'm going to sign in with Microsoft. And now I'm going to sign into my normal teacher email address the way I would usually. So now I've signed into my Lumio account, just using my school email address there. You can see these are all the lessons, including the ones that I've just uploaded on my computer itself. Of course, if you want to create new, you can, but we'll look at that later. So the first step, put something in Lumio, existing content. Next step, press play on it. And it's as simple as that. What I've got now is to be able to actually have this lesson front of class, and then I can teach that to my students. The advantages of that is that now I can ink on it wherever I want to on here, and then go on to the next page, and that inking stays within my, what was a PowerPoint, and now is my Lumio lesson. Any annotations that I do up on here will just stay within it. So if I go back up to that top page, that's that annotation there. Go on, and the annotation's there as well. Straight, nice and simple. I'm annotating within that PowerPoint. Also, if I click on my number down here, I can now see my whole PowerPoint. I can now see my whole Lumio lesson, and actually I can move up and down it wherever I need to, depending on the pace of the lesson in that sense there. Nice and easy place to start. The next place is really looking at that engagement of the students. Yes, we can come up and annotate up on here, but how do I now connect the learners, like I've got here, to actually take part in this lesson as well, whether in the class or out? So as a teacher here, I'm going to click on this person at the top here. And on that person, I've got a little arrow here, and this is giving me my directions to the students. So let's just do that once more. I'm on my page, I'm presenting it, click on my people, and the arrow at the top there takes me to this here. So the students go to hellosmarts.com, they can sign as a guest or using their Microsoft credentials, and then they enter that class ID here. Just going to show you how to do that. This is how they log in. They simply go to hellosmart.com. From here, they can sign in. This is where they can do it with their Google or their Microsoft credentials. That way their names will be populated for them. And also if they're returning to this lesson later on, then they can access it and access what they've done already and carry on where they left off. Or they can join as a guest. So I'm going to join as a guest just for now. It's going to ask for a class ID. This one will be your teacher's ID and displayed on the screen. Mine is 162353. I can then click next. And if you're going as a guest, it will ask you for your name. But if you've signed in with your Google or your Microsoft credentials as a student, then that will be populated for you. I can then click on join, and it will then start the lesson for the student on their device. So now you've seen it from the student's point of view, let's go back into the teacher way. So now we've got those connected devices, as we saw how to. They can actually see that there, and we've got them connected. I can see that I've actually got 7 students connected to this lesson here. So I can click got it, and we're back to here. Now you might be able to notice, actually you can see here and up on here, that if I click next page on this one here, as I click next page here, it's going the same time, next page for them as well. So they're following the learning. At the moment, it's very much teacher paced. They can't do anything there. They can't draw on it. They can't annotate on it because it's that teacher delivery per moment of the lesson, if you like. And then going down here, at some point, I'm going to get to a point where I want them to actually be part of it, a bit more engagement with it, a bit more collaboration within their learning. And this page here, I've set this up as a kind of demo one just to show you. And we're going to look at a whole class. So again, I'm going back to the people at the top here, like when we connected the learners, clicking on the people. And now, how do I want my learners to actually engage with my lesson? Do I want them to do a whole class, everyone together? Is it group work? Or is it just individual? Great for like a worksheet or something like that. In this instance, I'm going to go group work. So then as the learners here can click resume. And as a teacher here, my lesson's also going to load. It will give me the ability as a teacher to now start annotating on anything here, but also for the learners as well. So if I use this one here, because this is a touchscreen, I can use it on here and annotate up on here. This one, I can come up as well, pick up a pen, let's pick a different color to the other ones, and actually make an annotation over here as well. On the teacher screen, I'm going to click back on my pointer, and I can see that those annotations from the learners have appeared here. This one, if I click on it, I can see from that arrow was the Chromebook. If I click on this one and the arrow, I can see that that was from the laptop. So we've got that collaboration here, and I can still who's doing each one. It will just be a bit of a free-for-all, for lack of a better term, but everyone is coming to join together in this place. I can also toggle that annotations off, so then it removes the ability for them to kind of continue with it once I've got that. It kind of locks it in, if you like. Whole class. I'm going to go on to the next page again, still teacher paced. So I'm just clicking next to go on to the next page. They're going on to the next page. And we're now going to have a look at changing this one to a group work. So in the same way as we changed the last one to whole class, people, and how do I want my learners to engage with this content? Whole class was the last one. We're now going to look at group work. Group work, as it suggests, rather than putting everyone on one page, it puts multiples on that page. So I can see here I've got lots of learners kind of connected. I can have up to 57 connected at once, and I can put this in different groups. I'm going to put us into 3 groups, and then it automatically divides them around. I can move them around wherever I want to on there, and then click start. As I click start, they're now in those groups and they can put there. So if I just have a look at this one, again using the laptop here as an example, I'm going to put a circle on that one, but on this one it's going to be slightly different. I'm going to circle the fish instead. Circle-ish. As a teacher here, I'm not jumping into anyone. First of all, I'm going to jump into team 1. Now team 1, these people have done nothing yet, so I can see that they've done nothing yet. But as I go into team 2, I can see the annotation is from this group here. So they're working together in this group here. And again, the same, I can click on it and see that attribution that the laptop person has done that one there. Toggling on up here to team 3, which should be the Chromebook. And then we can see that one is the Chromebook annotation up on there. And then back to the overall slides up on there. So I'm taking that PowerPoint that from right at the beginning, I just dragged and dropped online. I went to Lumio straight from the board to start presenting to everybody. And then all I've done there is clicked on these people and changed it to a group work, whole class group, and now we're going to go on to the final one. So I'm going to go next page here. And on this instance, again, clicking on these people at the top here, rather than going to group work or whole class, I'm going to an individual work. So as I click on this individual work here, you can see it converted these. As soon as I click start on those, I can see their names appearing up on here. So I can now jump into individual students and see how they're getting on in each one of those. If you want to model as a whole class at the front here, I can click on teacher handout, and now this is my page. I can model up in here, anything that I choose to write up on here. That's just an example, tick them all. It's not appearing for the students because this is my teacher handout. I'm going to minimize it up here. And let's just have a look at what the laptop's doing. So the laptop person I can see hasn't started yet. So maybe I want to go in and support that one. So I'm going to click on a pen and highlight the instructions here. You can see that, if you can, is actually just written on this one here. And then using the pen tool, I can go through and tick that one, which appears real time on the laptop one. Is there anything on the Chromebook yet? No, because that was that one there. So if I click done as the students here at the top corner there, I can click done. As soon as I've clicked done here, I can see that the laptop person is now completed. And that might be when you go into that individual person's, you can see what they've done and go and support that individually. I can show this whole class here, or we could be doing it elsewhere as well. They could be in the class, they could be anywhere. That's the beauty of Lumio. So now I've shown those, now we've kind of looked at those 3 different ways of doing it, the individual, the group work, the whole class. What's next with it? We've got some engagement from the students. We've got some insight of how they're doing with their learning there. Final piece within this person at the side here is now clicking it to student pacing. Everything so far was follow the teacher, do this, then that, then that. I'm now going to click it on student pacing. What that means as a teacher is that I can ask them to continue on with that, and it might be that I'm showing the key information again. Whatever it might be, they're showing that class that we need that support for the work. But here, they're continuing on this one. Maybe on the Chromebook here, they want to carry on with the individual work, but the laptop here wants to go back into the group work and continue with the group work. So they're still now working on those 2 sections. They're doing on those bits there. Maybe beyond there, I would like to then explain to everybody my extension. So they could be continuing with that part there. We're now looking at the extension. We're showing that to everybody. And if I want them to look at the extension as well, back to that pacing, teacher, not student pacing, click on teacher pacing, and they're all now going to come together and look on this bit here, because it's now teacher pacing at the side there. So that's that next step. That really shows taking that static content of that PowerPoint, how can I make it engaging for my students? How can they collaborate with there? And how can I gain some insight into what they're doing? I'm going to click on these three dots here. And from here, let's just see what's next within Lumio. How can I make it even more engaging? How can I get even more insights to their learning or look at some different possibilities for that collaboration? So I'm going to click on edit this lesson. Now this is the lesson that I had, and you can see all the different bits here. Now that I've finished this lesson, you can see that the students have finished it as well, because I'm doing that synchronous approach. So whatever I want to from here, I can now add in certain content. I can make these pages individual, group, or whole class. So if you were doing this ahead of time and you knew there were certain pages you wanted to set up already, you can set them up there. I can add in voice. So I can add speech and I can talk over the top of this, so then the students, when they're listening to it, they can press play on it and they can have those parts there. I can add in shapes, I can add in web links, pictures, text, and I could also insert equations with my equation writer at the top there as well. And then these are my pages. If I want to move them around, click and hold and just move them where I want to from in there. And we've got this plus button. This plus button is your next biggest step of looking at all those enrichments within that digital lesson here. So if I click on there. Now, most of these buttons are quite self-explanatory. After this, if you want to go and have a little play with them all, click on this little button here, that little hat, and that will just give you a little bit of learning about each one before you dive into it completely, see if it's where your students and where you need to have that focus. So if you want to import more resources, maybe you've got your PowerPoint and now you want to add 2 or 3 pages from a PDF, you can do that there. Maybe you want to add in a YouTube video, advert free from there. Maths, science, you've got some really good simulations there, or a graphing calculator. And then there's some really nice games and activities and backgrounds down here as well. So let's start at the bottom. If you're familiar with the IQ units and that whiteboard from here, you might have seen these graphic organizers. So again, starting from your PowerPoint, actually halfway through, I want to add in a brainstorm activity. I've clicked on it there. You can now see it's down the side here. Oops, in the wrong place. Let's bring it back to the top. Maybe it's that beginning of that knowledge. And I've got some points here. I can add in text, whatever it is I want to up at the top there. Let's add more. So clicking on that add page. And that was a graphic organizer. And you can see there's lots of different ones within there. Choose which ones you think are relevant for that particular stage of learning. Let's come back out. There's some digital manipulatives in there as well. Lots of different ones. Again, take a look, see which one's appropriate for you. Some really nice knowledge and understanding points here. So I'm going to add actually into this one an exit ticket. It might be a 6-word summary, whatever you want to here. So I'm just clicking on exit ticket. And that one is in there as well. And this one is automatically set up as an individual handout. So I'm going to do this one and drag it to the bottom, all the way down there, because I wanted that one just before the extension in there. So let's now build that lesson. Right at the end, I'm also going to add in a game. So again, clicking on that add button there, and it gives me that same chart we've got here. Response is a really good formative assessment where I can add in different question types, like those ones there. Those will be then sent out to the learners. I can export that as an Excel document, and I've got all that data there. It'll give me whole class data on the screen. The students are going to get that whole class, their individual data, whether they get it right or incorrect, actually on their device as well. So response is a really good one for that. For each one of these, if it's a multiple choice, I click on it, type my answer in there, some different answers, and add in another question. Nice and simple to go through that one. It's previous. Let's not add in that one. Let's add in some other game-based activities. Now, all of these, there's lots of different ones, and we're not going to go over them now. Like I said, with this little preview button, it just shows you what to do with them. So if I do a fill in the blanks activity, click on that little preview button, and it's there. Fill in the blanks activity, nice and straightforward. There's quite a lot of backgrounds on there. They do kind of tend to sway themselves more towards primary. You can put a simple background, or of course you can put your own backgrounds in there as well. Type in your text or copy and paste, and then just select the words you want at the bottom. And that's the example of a simple one there. Let's just have a look at this rank order one here. Again, a very similar layout, nice and easy to make. So for example, I'm just going to go 2, 4, whatever your ones might be on here. Again, you can make these beforehand. I'm just making them during the time here. I've got a few labels in it as well. I can put don't check, or when prompted, click next. I could choose a different background. There's the simple one, or I can customize that background as well. I'm just gonna go for the feature bots for today and click finish. So as simple as that, I can create that game and have that within my lesson. And there are lots and lots of different ones to explore to really enhance that learning there. So when I finish this lesson, because I was in edit mode and because those learners are already signed into that, as soon as I start this lesson, it's going to start for them. So they have now got that game themselves on their device, or that assessment, or whatever it wanted to be. And I can model that activity here as well, and we can do the same as them. So if I just model that to start with, so I can bring those in, and if I get them correct, they're in there. If I get them incorrect, they stay out. And then this is a really nice one. At the end of it, we get a bit of animation as well. And they can be running that at the same time. So I am just going to do that for these learners as well. So I'm just going to click that one across, and that one, and that one. And obviously I can play it again at the front here, but rather than modeling an activity, what I can do is view progress. So now I can view progress and see that two students, this group of here, only one of them has completed it. So I'm beginning to get that whole class data there. I can click show results. It took them 35 seconds to do it. Great, but they got it all correct. I can now also click on student progress. Now, by default, it only shows whole class data, and there's a little reminder here because you're now drilling into individuals. May not want to show individual data on the large screen to everybody. Again, your choice, and you know your students better than anyone. So now I'm going to show individual data here. Now, because I've only got one, I've got my Chromebook, I've got 3 questions correct, and it took them 35 seconds. So I can now drill into individuals. If there are more people joined, then that data would kind of populate throughout that as well. Back to my class overview, and I could see those bits there. Or back to the model activity, and then you can have somebody else come into play on that at the front here. So that insights to learning, at the moment it's in rank order. It's also on super sort and match them up. Those are the 3 activities that have got that progress data there. The other ones are coming to it as well. Just something to bear in mind for that at the moment. So I'm now going to end that lesson. End the lesson. And it's going to come back from where we were right at the beginning from Lumio. So we've taken that PowerPoint, dragged and dropped it onto line, logged into the board from the web browser into Lumio. I can click start and start that lesson. Once I've started that lesson, I can ink on it, I can add any annotations, go up and down my lesson, all front of class. If I want to involve the learners, then they go to that hellosmart.com, join through your code, and they can have that learning there. And at that point, we've got the individual, we've got the group, we've got the whole class, and we've got all those games attached in that as well. So a really enriched environment within your classroom. One final thing we're going to look at here is if I click on these 3 dots within Lumio, this helps me share it with others as well. So clicking on those 3 dots, I can go to share link. So now I'm clicking share link, it gives me 2 options. Do I want to share it with a colleague? Use that link there. Again, I can copy and paste that. I can send it over email, send it over text, whichever way you prefer, or student link there. Now that student link there will give your students a link to the lesson. They can play those games, they can have those activities, they can work the individual work, whatever it might be, that they can take that with them at home. If you've embedded a YouTube video, they've got that directly within their lesson. So they are taking that whiteboard experience with them wherever they are, straight from that link. They can access that on any device. So that's a phone, a tablet, computer, spare smartboard, whatever it might be, they can have access that learning if they're out in the field doing those kind of vocational courses as well. So all of that straight within Lumio. As well as teaching directly from Lumio, from bringing the board, you can also access any other online content as well. So if I click on a new tab here, the same way as you would usually on a browser, I can access anything on here, YouTube, whatever it might be. But also I can type in OneDrive. And it's going to ask you to sign in the same way as you would on your computer itself. So here I've now got access to my whole OneDrive account. I can go through to any of these folders and I can access the content. So I just click on this one. And then in here, I can click on here. So any of the folders I want to, I can open within here. So this is the one that I want. And then within here, this is the same folder that we looked at earlier to actually import that file. I have got these ones here. If you want to open this PowerPoint, I can click on that. I can now open it directly from the browser, from the board. Remember, with PowerPoint, I'm only going to be able to see this front of class here. I haven't got that engagement. I haven't got the ability to write in the document the same way as I would if I was using Lumio, and I can't send it out to students as well. But I can see it, I can access it here. So from now I've pressed it here, I've got present at the top here. Click on present, I'm going to play from the beginning, and now I've got that PowerPoint full screen. And then as I move through my PowerPoint, it's going to be there. And you can see that's the same one as I had originally. Swiping forwards and backwards, just using my finger. If I do now choose to pick up a pen, it will take a snapshot of the screen. So it's taken a snapshot of the screen, so I can no longer move forwards and backwards within the PowerPoint. I've just taken a picture of it. So any annotations that I want in there, I use my pen to make those annotations, and then I rub out with the palm of my hand. Any large surface will rub that out there. If I rub it out completely, it then unpauses and goes back to my PowerPoint. But if I keep any of those annotations in, maybe I want to save them, I've got to look across here. I can then save those. It will then save to my board, which I can upload to OneDrive in a moment. But then it will leave me to be able to continue with my lesson. Again, this is PowerPoint, it's just at the front of the class. I haven't got that interaction, I haven't got the engagement for my learners. I'm going to click back, which will take me back to the PowerPoint. And if I click on these 9 dots at the top there, it will take me back to my web browser, and there's that PowerPoint at the top there, so I can continue editing it whatever I like. In the same way, anything else you've got stored in your OneDrive can be accessed directly from that web browser itself. If I wanted to upload that page that I've got already, I can click on that upload button and I can upload that straight into this one here. So OneDrive itself, you can access content and you can see it and show it, and I can create that acetate over the top and ink on that one. If I use Lumio itself, I can actually ink in that document and have the interaction, engagement with the learners down here as well. I'm just going to show you one extra thing. Now we're using Lumio. I'm going to click on my home button. Your home button's down here, just a picture of a home. And you can now also sign in directly to the board. This person at the top here. Now I've already signed in. Again, it's the normal way we've signed in before. Sign in with your Microsoft or Google email address and you'll be straight into the board here. What it allows me to do here is now see my files. And within my files, it reads automatically all of my files, my Lumio ones. And I can have different ones within here. I'm going to choose my Lumio lessons up here. So now all of my Lumio lessons appear up on the board here. So if you're leaving it for cover or for somebody else, and you've got the lesson already in your Lumio account, they can access that here as well. Or if you're sending them a link, they can put it into their account and have it on theirs as well. And if I click on any of these lessons, it's going to be there for them. So this is the one that we looked at here, this computing one. So I can press play on this and we're jumping straight into that Lumio lesson from the board itself. And there's that rank order game that we had before, or we can resume that for the class. I can go up and down on any of these pages. I can go to that brainstorming activity here. And maybe I'm clicking on these people. And what do I want to do with this page? It's giving me the code. I'm just going to click back button up here. I can now convert that to anyone's there. So you've got that functionality of Lumio also directly from in the board as well, and being able to move that to the whole class, group or individual work. So hopefully that's given you a bit of an insight of how to use your board for more than just showing a PowerPoint, more than just mirroring your screen. How can I actually engage with my learners wherever they are throughout the board itself, throughout the classroom or out of the classroom. How we can collaborate with putting it in Lumio, sending out their devices and be able to share that content with them. Coming together, working together. And those bits of insights using response, using some of those other activities, or just using a page like this and asking them for their input for it. Lots and lots of great ways to do that. Hopefully that's been useful. There's loads more training material online. I'll leave links below this to have a look at that. But any other questions, pop them in the chat and I'll answer them as soon as I can. Thanks very much. Goodbye.